Okay, let's talk about instructions and how I'm going to put this ship together as opposed to the instructions. The the page you're looking at right here, all of these paragraphs, they are instructions, but they're in different languages. One paragraph, this one right here, or oh, I'm sorry, this one is in English, uh, and each paragraph's in a different language. That's the only real step-by-step instructions that this model has. Everything else is with pictures. All right. So what does this say? Well, it says read the instructions thoroughly prior to assembly. Uh, each component is numbered. Adhere to the specified sequence of assembly. That's what I am not going to do, and I'll explain that. But they have just general rules to follow. And yes, I do totally and completely agree. Not only read the instructions, but you need to understand why it's going together the way they want it to go together. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of it doesn't make any sense to me, so I'm not going to follow it. The parts, they pretty well documented them. For instance, you'll see here, I'll get this up where you can see it better. These are simply pictures of the sprues. They're alphabetized and numerically numbered for all the pieces. So that alphanumeric numbers will be referred to in the model as you put it together. You will see L25. L25, you can go to your box, pull out the L sprue, and go to part 25. They're labeled, and they're very clearly labeled. So that's not really the problem. The problem with the model is the order that they put it together in. And what I do, anytime I do something to the model, I take a yellow marker and I mark it out. That way if something's not yellowed, I have to go check the model to see if I skipped over it. In the case of step one, I didn't take off these portholes on the port side of the ship. So I've got to go back and do that. That's a couple of seconds, not a big deal. And then it tells you the paint code. So if you're in Europe, 95, you go back to your paint code, and that's the color that they want you to be painting. So, they paint differently than I do, so I'm not worried about that anyway. I will have a coat of primer on this entire ship, and then I will wet sand that primer, and then I'll put the final coats on. But the thing about the instructions, as soon as you finish this step one, and that's all, I'm still working on step one because I'm making all the modifications to it. Step two is to start building the 16-inch guns. And step 3, 4, 5, 6 are all building the 16-inch guns. And that's fine. You can do that. There's one forward and one aft on the main deck, and you can do them. That's perfectly all right. Doesn't make any difference. And they want you to go ahead and build those because in 7 they show you to remove these pieces. I've already removed one because I'm using them, but to remove these support pieces and mount your 2 16-inch guns. That's because of the way they're mounted. They're not glued in. That symbol is no glue. That way the guns will turn. Well, in this model, I get the plastic rifles, but it also has bronze or brass rifles. So, that's going to be a whole separate operation for me, putting those on because they've got to be fitted in. And you have to get these guns mounted according to the instructions before you can permanently mount the main deck. And that doesn't happen till step 9. Well, I want to get the main deck on as quickly as possible because that way I can go ahead and drill out and remodel my anchor openings and that bow opening that's not there now. And I need this in place to do that. I'm going to go ahead and put the gutter on it, but I want to go ahead and start mounting chocks on the main deck all the way around, because they kind of dictate where you have guttering and where you don't. I'll show some pictures, maybe put it down in one of these corners so you can see what I'm talking about. But that's the least of my issues with the instructions. If you go to the very back page, step 94, they're attaching things to the hull that could have been attached. I could do them right now before I ever put a coat of primer on it, so they will be primed and painted in with it. This A, now I told you in America we can't use the paint codes on that list. Well, A is a haze gray. It's the same thing that goes on the rest of the hull. Well, I'd have to be scraping some of that off in order to glue these on. I'm going to go ahead and install them. I'm not going to wait till the very end. I want to get the hull done as quickly as possible. Now, if we just move forward one more page from where I was, I can put in that main deck. I can put on those pieces on the side of the hull. All that stuff is done. But then we get to the bottom side of the hull. That's where we put on the screws and the gear that the shafts go through. All of that bottom side, the rudders, everything at the stern. I want to go ahead and do that. So I don't have a problem with, I don't necessarily have to fully build out the guns. I may do that, but I definitely want to do this order up to this point, and even to the point that they go ahead and build the base at step 13. Well, guess what? That gives you a place to set the model. All right, because according to these instructions, that's the last time you touch this part of the ship for a long time, because in 14 they start building the superstructure, and all of these pages from here and all these steps, and I'm going to take you out to the end of it, all the way to here we go, all the way to step 78. That's when they start mounting reels, accessories, all kinds of stuff to the main deck. That's ridiculous. 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84 are all putting things on the main deck, okay, or attaching them on the hull, like around the helo pad. There's some brass pieces that will go there. They then go back to the bow at 87. Well, I guarantee you the only reason that they waited till then to put that flagpole up was so you wouldn't break it. And I understand that. I may go ahead and follow that convention and just wait till the end for the Danish stuff. But 88, all the way out here, is when they put that bullnose on. That bullnose is needed in order for me to complete the guttering, and in order for me to properly position the opening in right at the middle of the bow. I'm going to put that on very soon. I'm not going to wait till after the rest of the ship is virtually completed. And honestly, they've got everything in place now, and now they're putting chocks on. That's just ridiculous. The antenna that was put on for Vietnam, I probably won't assemble it and put it on until pretty much at this stage. But when I get to the point where I put the superstructure on that deck, everything main deck down is going to be finished. I just put on a couple of accessories like this and get the rest of the, I'm going to go ahead and put all the deck gear on. So the main point I want to make is, yes, follow the instructions, but if you have an idea of a modular assembly that you want to do, and there's nothing required of that module, kind of stands independent, go ahead and do it. This superstructure, once I get the main deck and hull where I want it to be, I'll have nothing on this table except the parts for the superstructure. And it'll go together independent of the rest of the ship. And then I will fit it into the ship and make whatever modifications I have to make to the decks at that point, if any are required. And I may have some issues around what is or is not required. And that has to do with my wood decks, because I do have actual wood decks for this ship. And I've got all of these etched brass pieces. They go on as you build the model. Now, unfortunately, and by the way, you can see that brass breakwater right here. Looks a lot more convincing than that plastic one, and it doesn't fit around that plastic one, and so I know I've got to take it off. In some places, for instance, right here where the pink is, you have to take that off because this piece replaces that piece. So they have shown some of it, but it's not thorough enough. But hey, that's why you read the models. That's why you're called a modeler, not an assembler. I've said that before. And by doing it the way I'm doing it, the hull and the main deck first, I can go to my etched brass pieces and the wood pieces and identify everything I need for the hull and the main deck. I don't have to worry about all those dozens of other tiny pieces that go in the superstructure till I get to the superstructure. So it kind of compartmentalizes my thinking and makes it easier for me to keep track of where I am. And I will continue to use a yellow highlighter, put something on, highlight it on the plans. So anyway, that's just some suggestions. I'm just suggesting that you very carefully, if you want to build this model, you very, very carefully go through the instructions, decide how you want to build it. So there you have it. That's all I'm going to put on this video, but I just wanted to show you what progress I'm making. And even though it doesn't look like I've done much to the ship, I've done quite a bit of detailing to the hull, or to the main deck, to get it to fit better. I have repaired some of the extrusion wrinkles in the bow, smooth those off. And coming attractions, the next video I put out, I'm going to have pieces going along the side, those pieces I showed you that were the very last things that were supposed to be installed. I'm going to have, hopefully, the main deck permanently installed with at least the main body of the guns attached. But I'm probably going to go ahead and do one of them and see what it takes to get all the bits and pieces, because there are a lot of things that go on these turrets. Believe it or not, it's the top of the turrets have all kinds of little things on them. So I'll see if I get that done. But the main thing is for me to get to the point where I can begin making these modifications, putting in the gutter, drilling holes, getting the bow ready to go, getting the chain ready to go. I'm not going to put the chain on, but I want to get everything modified that needs to be modified before I paint. So that's it. Everybody have a good week. I don't know how long it'll be before I get another video out. I wanted to try to do it once a week, maybe every other week, but when I put it out, I want something there that is meaningful. So if you've built this model before and you see me heading in a dangerous direction, let me know. Put it in the comments below. One thing about being on YouTube, there are a lot of people out there all doing modeling, and all of them doing it their way. But there's some brilliant stuff. I'll tell you that right now. There's some people doing some brilliant modeling. So I'll leave you. I'm not a diorama person, but I'm going to leave you with a couple of pictures of a diorama that's my kind of diorama. I think you'll probably agree. So you have a good week. Bye.
Okay, so here's another direction I'm going, since we're going to be talking about painting today. I'm going to do a fairly standard model paint job on the New Jersey. I have yet to find a picture on the internet that shows the New Jersey with any kind of a red bottom or a red line around a black bottom or anything like that. It was just black and gray. So I don't know for sure what I'm going to do. Now, I'm not into doing dioramas, but if I was, this is the kind of diorama I would do. I would have the ship out of the water. I would make sure that it had every bit of running rust that a ship normally has, because that's what we spent a lot of time doing, was cleaning this up. Now, here we go. We've got, this is not the New Jersey. This is actually, I believe, a Dutch battleship. But at any rate, you can see where they have weathered it. The paint's coming off. All kinds of issues with it. But that would be a fun diorama. Also, since it's like half of a dry dock, chances are good that it would fit on an average shelf. So that's something to look at. Now I'm going to go back and let me close this. I want you to see where I am. And there's another view of it. Now, to me, this is a nice diorama. It's a day in the life of a military vessel. It's got all kinds of nice detail, nice weathering. But I really and truly do like this. And if you look at, let's say this one, this shows you how it doesn't have to be extremely wide. You can, taper it off, do whatever you have to do. But these kinds of